You are a stand-up comic, funny as hell. I seen your special.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was dope. How did you start doing comedy?
It's an interesting story. I went to high school at a place called Chicago Vocational. It's on the south side of Chicago, and the people that they send to school there, they want them to become tradesmen. And we had a bunch of mentors and shit like that. And one of the mentors was a dude named Dave Duerson. Dave Duerson is noteworthy because he was the safety for the Super Bowl Bears. So I'm sitting in his library, and he's mentoring, and I'm just sitting there. I ain't even supposed to be there, but I used to wear them Bill Cosby sweaters and shit, and they would let me in everywhere. And so I got there and I sat down, and he was talking to all these people, and he wasn't really talking to me. Then he looks at me and he goes, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was always a smart ass. I was like, "I want to be a comedian. How can you help me?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know much about comedy, but Tim Reitman, who was the tight end for the team, hung out at this club called the Funny Firm." So I go down to the Funny Firm, and I'm 17. They won't let me in. So as soon as I turn 21, I go up there. They won't let me up. So I went there for 6 months, and they wouldn't give me any mic time. On the 6th month, in June of 1991, I go on stage and I do like 3 minutes. And it's funny, to my surprise, and I wasn't expecting it to work that well. And it worked really well. And when I came off stage, it was a dude named Evan Lionel.
So we gonna talk about what's real.
Man, that dude is my God, that dude is magic. Like I don't understand how he get away with the shit he do. He got straight player energy, you dig? And the brother walked up to me in his Evan way. "Hey man, how long you been doing stand up?" I was like, "This is the first time." He was like, "Come back here with us. You bullshitting. You been doing this shit." I was like, "Nah." We go back in the back of the room, and there was James Hanna, amazing writer.
R.P. to James Hanna, man.
Yes, sir. You know what you talk, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know, but it appears that you know way more than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Hanna, Duran Howard, Shay Shay, and Bernie Mac are in the back of the room.
What?
And all of a sudden, all these guys surround me and start telling me where I need to be. Like on Tuesdays we here, Wednesdays we there, blah, blah. And then Bernie like, "I got a room on Monday night, and you could come down there and do a few." So all of a sudden I'm in the rotation, and they teaching me shit every night. Every night.
Really?
And Bernie was like a sink or swim type dude, right? He'll go up in front of you, do 45 minutes, then introduce you who have had a week in comedy. Now, at the time, I wasn't intimidated because I didn't know who Bernie was. Just another nigga to me.
Yeah.
And after he did his time, it was amazing. And there was a bunch of gangsters in the crowd, right? Because dig this. It was a Monday night show at midnight. It didn't start till midnight. So
on Mondays?
On Monday. So ain't none of these brothers got jobs.
Right.
Back then, it was wearing Coogee sweaters and shit and gazelle glasses.
Yeah.
And it was straight, you could tell it was gun bulges and shit and all this shit. These dudes was for real.
Yeah.
And Bernie would get up and do 45 minutes of insults to killers. And them motherfuckers loved his ass, right?
Yeah.
And then he puts me up and I do a few minutes and it go okay. And then he goes up behind me and he goes, "Yeah, you was funny, but I'd like to see how you would write a letter. Cause you cuss a lot." Now, this is Bernie Mac telling me how much I cuss.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to give the example. He was like, "Dear motherfucker." Like, this dude. And by the time I had really realized who he was, we was about 3-4 months in, and I was following him everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, him and Evan, anywhere these guys went, those 4 guys, anywhere they were, I was not far behind. And man, I got an education.
I know you had to, man. Back in the and for some reason, like, I believe that, like, it's some beasts that come out of Chicago, man. It's a lot of what was the comedy scene back then? Because I don't know what Chicago is. It's just a tough city that makes you just a beast on stage, but it's a lot of beasts that come out of Chicago, man.
It was amazing. I'm saying, like, it was like I mean, I smoke weed now. I smoke a lot of weed now. I didn't smoke weed at first because I was the police, and then people had me for a little while. Brothers and sisters, I'm back. Forgive me. But what I'm figuring out is that we had a scene much like let's say Birdland or something. Like everybody was coming to see us, or at least see Bernie, and we got the benefit of it. And this was before anybody really. This was before he was a star.
Yeah.
You know, this was when you could still see him on 87th and Stony Island, right? And this place called Spices. It was a nice little spot, and the older people owned it, and they gave us run of the place, and it only seated about maybe 75 people.
Really?
And man, we would shove 125 black folks. I'm saying they couldn't even see the stage. They was all up the stairs because it was in a basement. And man, these dudes would put on amazing shows every goddamn week. I'm saying like Robert De Niro would come in there. Bill Murray would come through.
Really?
It was a lot of people coming through there, man. And then from there, I got to All Jokes Aside. And All Jokes Aside changed my life.
Is that the one that Mary ran?
Mary ran it. Raymond Lambert and James Alexander owned it. And then Mary became one of the owners later on down the line.
Okay. I seen a documentary about that club.
Yes,
All Jokes Aside. Yeah.
I would have been in the documentary, but I was not doing as much stand-up at that point. You know, I was not around Chicago stand-up like I should have been, because I was dealing with the pain of working in that jail.